Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today's topic is about Agile software development requirement and requirement engineering and why do we need to do this. Sorry about the theoretical part. We need to have some theoretical part to understand, to have a common understanding about the later development in the project. And I would like to minimize the theoretical part, but we need at least a minimum amount of theory to be able to understand the concepts later will be developed during the videos. So maybe bear with me with the next couple of videos, and then we will go start with programming and do fun stuff. So in this video, I would like to draw your attention about the last video, which we talked about where to start with the software project, and today we talk about the methodologies. The waterfall methodology was the dominant model framework for doing the software project from 70s, 80s, 90s, but since 2000 the Agile software development is the way that we do the software project. The good thing about the Agile software development is that if we define something here as a, let's say, requirement, and during the time, if this requirement change, we can go back and change the requirement, and we can refine the requirement and then change our implementation based on the new requirement. And this cycle is very helpful, especially for the software which will be used by end users. So end user and all stakeholder has an impact, and this impact will be considered during the implementation by the time when we do it in the different iterations. But in the waterfall model, the drawback is that we do everything once, and this is the problem, because if, for instance, developing a software takes, like, let's say 5 months or 1 year, then during the year that we are working on the software, maybe the user need will change. If the user need to change, we cannot go back in the waterfall model and change everything, because we have done already everything once and there wasn't any let's say consideration about the changes in future. But in the Agile software development, the good thing is that if something changed along the implementation, we go back, we change, and we fix it, and we continue. And the methodologies that use in the Agile software methodology, we can group them maybe in the 6-7 different groups, but we have here some of them. Scrum is a very common and widely used methodology, but there's also many other ones. It depends on the developer team which one suits them and they choose. Sometimes we might also combine some of them together and have and the organization might also build their own Scrum methods and Agile methodology based on these basics. So back in the 90s, the majority of the failures were related to poor requirement engineering. As we talked in the earlier video about the requirements are divided to the functional requirement and non-functional requirement. And a functional requirement is basically what the software should do, what we can expect from the software. And the most important thing is that the functional requirement can be tested. But the non-functional requirement is how a software should do something. And it's not easy to test a non-functional requirement. So this is maybe the most important difference between the functional requirement and non-functional requirement. So let's talk about the requirement engineering. The requirement engineering is basically studying the user needs and arrive to the definition, which the definition is the requirement. So we do the requirement engineering to get the requirement. And another important part about the requirement engineering is that we do the study and refining the requirement. This is also very important because, as I told you, the requirements can change by the time. So why we do this? Because we can reuse those requirements in other software project if they are in the some sort of same context, and the flexibility increases by this. As I mentioned also earlier, the software, the time that we start the software to get to the market, even after we release, we also evolve the software by the time, and this is the increase the flexibility. When we have a requirement, we can change and refine. And it's also understanding of how a software interacts with the other part of the system increases when we do the requirement engineering. So the message to take home is that we basically need to focus very like narrow down or focus on the requirement, and we should list them carefully. And also we shouldn't be afraid of changing the requirement by the time, because it is what meant to be. The whole thing about the software is the software can change. Software is a living organization, a living part, and this living part can change and evolve by the time. And this is the thing that we should consider. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this video, please hit the share and follow us, and I will see you in the next video.